validations when you are trying to validate some fields in a form. And today's lesson also, this is the last time we're going to talk about the form and the fields in a form. Okay, what did that mean, validation, and how we do it? Okay, so back to our form here. Let me create a couple of fields so we can input fields so we can just use it as a test. Okay, we'll start with a text field, and let me put a name for that text field, maybe name, and that name I'm gonna call it account, maybe account num. Okay, account number, and let me just save and reload. Looks how it's gonna look like. It's gonna look like this. Okay, let me add a placeholder here so you guys can see something in placeholder. I will say enter account number, something like that. Okay, let me reload so you can see enter account number here. So that's an input field. After the input field, let me go to put a couple of VRs, which is a line break. I like to make spaces most of the time. So if we have enough space, then I'm gonna put another field here. And this time it's a new field. We never talked about it before. It's a text area, okay? A text area field. And what's a text area, or what's the difference between a text area and a text and an input text field? An input text field is just like you can see, it has very limited space. Like you enter an account number, enter first name, enter last name, things like that. But a text area, it's kind of bigger. It will allow you to enter some text or content, maybe an article or something like that. So let me give it a name, and then we can see it on the browser. So I'm gonna give it a name here, maybe article. Oops. I'm gonna give it a name article. Okay, let me remove that ID. We're not gonna use an ID for that. And let me save. Let me put here BR again, a couple of BRs, line break, and then I'm gonna put a submit button. I'm gonna put a submit button. Okay, this is a submit like we did before. We put the input and the type is going to be submit. Then I will reload, see how the form is going to look like. That's the form. You have the first here is enter account number, which is the placeholder for the text area. And then you have here a text area field. And by the way, the text area field is, you can control the size. See? Can make a big column, and you can make it a fix. Actually, the default is 2 rows and 20 column, but you can change this. We're gonna do this in a minute, but let me put add a placeholder here to the to the text area. So I'm gonna put here a placeholder here. I'm gonna placeholder, use the placeholder attribute, and I'm gonna put here maybe content, the content with a couple of dots here. So when I reload, it should look like this. Okay, so this is the form that we have. Now I want you to see why we're going to use the validation here, and so we need to know the problem first. So I'm going to show you the problem. So let me make that big, and now I'm going to click on the submit without entering any value in the two fields. So I'm going to click on the submit here. Okay, here's the submit. You notice here it send the information, blank information, send the account number, and it's blank equal blank, and the articles equal blank. Remember, we called those two fields. We called the first field what? We called the first field is account number, which is here, account underscore number, and we called the second field article. That's the name that was given here. Here are the two names attribute. It sent them blank. We don't want this to happen. So that's why we're going to validate. We're going to do the validation. So the validation is just to remind the user if he forget about one of the fields. To do this, you can use the required attribute. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add the required attribute to the input text field, and I'll do the same thing as well to the text area here. I'm going to put the required attribute. By adding those, then I will reload the form. By doing so, now when I click on submit, it's not going to send anything. See what's going to happen here. I'm going to click submit. See it says, please fill out this field. So let's say I'm going to input account number here, 123 AB. Then I will try to hit the submit again with a blank text area. See what's going to happen. It's telling you here, it's moving to that field, say, please fill out this field. So you have to input something here. So I'm saying, maybe content. Now when I hit submit, let me make it big so you can see. When I hit submit, see it's sending now here on, see here, account number is 123 ABC, and article content. So it send the information, and that makes sense. So by adding the required field is so important to add in the field that it must be filled by the user. So that's the first validation that we need to learn. The other thing is sometimes you want to have a max length or a min length. Sometimes you are having a username and a password, sometimes in a login form, and you are required to ask the user to input a password that is no more than 8 or no less than 6 characters, things like that. So you can use an attribute called the max length. So let's say in the input field here, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the max length, and then I'm gonna give it a maybe 7. Okay, and I'm gonna put a min length as well. Okay, so I'm gonna put a min length, and I'm gonna put like 4. So then I will save here and reload. When I reload here, then I'm gonna try to put something that is bigger than 7. So I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm gonna hit the 8 now. 8, 8, 9, 9, 9. So it's not typing anymore because it's allowing only 7 characters or 7 spaces. So now by adding the max length, you can do that. And the same thing applies with min length. So if I'm trying to see here, if I'm trying to put 1, 2, 3 only, and then put another values here in the context area, and then I try to submit. See here, it says, please length this text 4 characters. You're having only 3. So that's the job. Actually, this is what is the validation for max length and min length. So let me just remove them. And the same thing applies for text area, but so I'm not going to repeat it with text area. So now you get the point now, what I mean by max length and min length. Okay, another thing, let me just reload here. Another thing we need to know is the size of the text area. I can just control it this way, but the default, I can control the default. Like the default, we have the default is 2 rows and 20 columns, but you can change that, by the way. So I'm gonna go over here in the text area. I'm going to change that by adding columns and rows. So let's say I'm going to add rows, and then I'll make it 2. Then I will save and reload. When I reload now, you will notice nothing happened. Why? Because the default is 2 already. But if I change that 2 to 5, for example, and reload, see what's going to happen to the text area. So it makes it 5 rows. So you can reload. Every time you reload, it goes to 5 rows. And I can do the same thing here with the number of columns. If I put calls attribute, I'm using the calls attribute, I'm going to put 20. And I will reload. And you will notice nothing happened when I reload because the default is already 20. But if I change it to 30, for example, or 25, and then I reload, see what's going to happen now. So it makes it bigger. So now we know that the rows and calls attribute in the text area will change the size of the text area. Let me remove it now. We don't need it anymore. So now you get the point for that. Another thing you need to know is that autofocus. Sometimes you want to direct the attention of the user or the client to a certain field when you reload the form. So to do this, we can use the autofocus. Let's say I'm going to use, I want to start with the account number. So basically in the input field here, you can use the autofocus attribute to make sure that the client will start with this. So I will say then now when I reload, see what's going to happen to the account number field. See now it's like highlighted with a small blue border, and it's blinking here inside, telling the user to start with this. And I can do the same thing. You can just remove the autofocus from here, move it to a different field. I can move it to the text area. So I'm going to move it here, and I'm going to move it here to the text area. And then when I reload the form, see what's going to happen. The autofocus is going to go what? To the text area. You cannot use the autofocus on more than one field in the form at the same time, because you want to autofocus on one. You want to start with one field at a time. So that's the autofocus attribute. Let me just remove it now because you got the point already. Okay. Another thing, also, let me save that. Another thing we can do is to, after you do some validation and you don't want this validation to function, actually. You want to disable it for a while. To do that, so I'm going to go to the form here, and I'm going to add the no validate attribute. No validate. What's the no validate is going to do? Let's see what's going to see here. I'm going to click to reload. The no validate will ignore all the validation you did. Like you have here it's required. So you cannot submit without having any characters here. But with the no validation, it will allow you to do that. Let's do what's going to happen if I click on the submit now. When I click on the submit now, it will ignore the validation and it will send the information blank. See here, account number is blank, article is blank. Why this is happening? This is happening because I use the no validate attribute with the form. The no validate attribute with the form. Let me remove it now. Why would a person do that? Why would people do that? In some cases, sometimes it's very rare to happen, but sometimes it happens. Like let's say you are a tech support person and you want to do some stuff with the form before you upload it to your customers. So you just disable the validation for a while until you're done, and then you can remove it again. So in some cases, and when we start doing the programming portion, when we go to the JavaScript, we'll talk more about that. So that's another thing. Okay, another thing I want you to know about in the validation is the read only and the disable. I want you to know that. What is the read only? Read only, sometimes you want the customer you have a fixed value in the field and you don't want the customer to change it. For example, let's do this. Let's try that. In the input field here, I'm going to put 3, 4, 5, then CBS. You want to enter the account number that way. Oh, wait a minute. No. You need to put it as a value. So I'm going to put the value attribute here. And then I'm going to put that 342 CBS. Then I will save and reload now. When I reload the form, you will notice here 342 CBS. You don't want, so this is the account number and you don't want the user to change it. So all what you need to do is just make that field read only. So you just add the read only attribute. And now when you reload, so that field is read only. What does read only mean? It means if you try to add anything, I'm trying to type now, it's not working, it's not adding. Try to delete, it's not deleting. So you can do anything. All what you can do, you just can copy. You can copy and paste it somewhere. That's all what you can do, but you cannot You cannot just remove it or add to it or edit that. So it's only read only. So now when you send the information, let's say 342 CBS, I'm going to add something here, FFFFF. Then I click submit. Let me just make it big so you can see when I submit. Make it submit now, and when you look at here, you see in the submit is the count number is 342 and CBS, and with the article FFFFF. So it's and the value is still there. Even when you reload, it's not disappearing. It's still there. Why? Because it's read only. You cannot delete it or edit it. That's the read only. But let's say you want to disable that. So I'm going to change that from read only to disable. So I'm going to change that from the read only to disable. And now when I reload, you will notice here it's disabled, it's gray. So you cannot add to it, you cannot delete. So somebody would ask, what's the difference between disable and read only? It's very important to know the difference, because when you try to send now the information, so when I'm going to add some information here, FFFF, in the content on the text area, and I'm going to click on submit. You notice here it's sending only the article FFFF, the text area information, but it's not sending the disabled field. If I change that field to read only, it send the field, it send the information. It's not allowing you to edit, but it's sending the information. But with the disable, it's not allowing even to send. It's not sending the information. So that's the main difference between disable and read only. So that's so important to know the difference between both of them. Another thing I want you to know also about that is about the form. Something that we had learned before with when we were talking about in the previous lessons about having a new tab or the same tab when we are adding the target. When you are adding a target, so now we can, in the form here, I'm going to add an attribute, and that attribute is a target. And if you guys remember, the options for the target is the blank, the parent, the self. The default is the self. What does that mean? So if I put the self here, and I will save and reload, everything is going to be exactly the same. Nothing will happen. So you just can send information by putting here some information and click submit. It will send the information. You change the information here to B, and then you click submit. It will submit. And send the information. But guess what? It's in the same tab. Here is the tab. You don't have a new tab. New tab means you have another tab over here. So to do that, okay, to have a new tab, you need to change the target. So let me anyway remove that thing here. The value, we don't want to have a fixed value here. So I'll reload here now with no fixed value. So if I change that target to blank, the blank, what's the blank? You guys from the previous lessons, the blank will, oh, wait a minute, let me repeat. The blank will open a new, oh, okay. The blank will open a new, a new tab. The blank will open a new tab for you. So let's see what's the blank is doing when I run it that way. So I'm going to do it with a blank. We'll see here the tabs. So I'm going to reload, and then I'm going to add information here. So let's say 342, and then I can say hello world. Then I'm going to click on the submit. I want you to look at what's going to happen here. Let me make it big. I'm going to click on the submit, and you look here next to the tab here. I'm going to click submit. You notice here we are in a new tab. That's a new tab. And guess what? The other tab is still there. So if I click back on the other tab, I still have the information here, the account number and the hello world. So it's opening a new tab. If I click on it one more time, let me change this information from say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then hello world again, hello world again, and then I will submit again. It's going to open a third tab. So if you notice here, we have this with that information, and we have this with the, so you have 3 tabs now. So the reason we do this, the reason we have 3 tabs, because you are adding that target attribute to the form. This is an overview, quick overview about the way you validate fields in a form. I think that's good enough for this lesson. And as I told you at the beginning, that's going to be the last time we talk about form and the fields in a form. Starting from next lesson, we might be talking about the iframes and the embedded fields and stuff like that. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson. See you.